It was supposed to be just one night, a small step toward starting over. But when former Air Force mechanic and single dad Ethan Cole walked into that softly lit diner on a quiet Friday evening, he had no idea the night would turn his life upside down. The waitress smiled kindly as she led him to a booth by the window. Ethan's calloused hands trembled slightly as he adjusted his collar. He'd been out of the dating world for years, ever since his wife, Lily, passed away during his last deployment. His friends had practically forced him into this blind date, saying, "You've given enough to the country, man, it's time to live again." He glanced at his watch. 6:30 p.m. She was late. He tried to distract himself by sipping water, watching couples laugh, their hands brushing over candlelight. The empty seat across from him felt heavier by the minute. After 20 minutes, the ache of rejection crept in. Maybe this was a bad idea. Maybe people like him, single dads with 4 kids and 1,000 sleepless nights, weren't meant for new beginnings. He sighed, gathering his coat, ready to leave quietly before the sting grew worse, but then, he heard it, a small voice. "Excuse me, sir, are you Mr. Ethan?" Ethan turned. 4 little kids stood near the booth, huddled together. The oldest, maybe 10, clutched a crumpled drawing in her hand. The youngest boy was holding a flower stem with no petals left. Their faces were shy, but their eyes, bright. "Yes, that's me," Ethan said softly, kneeling a little so they wouldn't feel scared. "Can I help you, kiddos?" The little girl took a nervous breath. "Our mommy said to tell you she's really sorry she's late. She had to help someone at work. She's on her way." Ethan blinked, a little stunned. "Your mommy?" The girl nodded earnestly. "She said not to let you leave." The diner went quiet for a moment as Ethan's heart warmed with something he hadn't felt in years: hope. He smiled and motioned for them to sit. "Well, I guess I've got company, then." Within minutes, laughter filled the booth. The kids told him their names: Emma, Jack, Ben, and little Daisy, and about how their mom worked double shifts as a nurse. They showed him the crayon drawing of their family, with an empty space next to their mom labeled Hope. Ethan chuckled, his tough military composure softening. "That's a beautiful family you've got," he said, his voice thick. "She says we'll meet someone special one day," Emma whispered, "who's kind and brave like our daddy was." Ethan froze. That word was. He didn't pry. He just smiled softly, hiding the ache of shared loss that flickered behind his eyes. Then the door chime rang. A woman rushed in, hair slightly messy, cheeks flushed from the cold. Her eyes, gentle but strong, searched the room until they landed on her children. "Oh, thank God," she sighed, hurrying over. Ethan stood up. "I'm so sorry," she said, slightly breathless. There was a patient emergency but before she could finish, Ethan shook his head. "No need to apologize. Your kids have been keeping me great company." Her shoulders relaxed. "You must be Ethan." "I'm Grace." For a moment, neither spoke. The kids giggled, and the diner hum returned, but something electric hung between them, like 2 people who had been carrying the same kind of brokenness for too long, now recognizing it in each other. Dinner flowed effortlessly. Grace was warm, funny, and unapologetically real. She didn't flinch when Ethan talked about losing his wife or about being a single dad of 4. In fact, her eyes softened even more. "I think your kids are lucky," she said quietly. "They've got a dad who never stopped fighting for them." He chuckled. "I'd say the same about yours." As the night stretched on, the children started to yawn. Grace stood to gather them, but Ethan offered, "Let me help." He carried Daisy, fast asleep on his shoulder, while Grace held the other's hands. When they reached her van, she hesitated. "I wasn't sure if coming tonight was a mistake," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "But now I think, maybe it wasn't." Ethan smiled, that tired yet genuine kind. "I was starting to think the same thing." The kids waved from the car windows, shouting, "Bye, Mr. Ethan," as Grace drove off into the night. Ethan stood under the diner's neon light, watching the taillights fade, and for the first time in years, he didn't feel empty. Over the next few weeks, they saw each other again. Then again. Family dinners turned into game nights. Movie nights turned into shared laughter and quiet moments of healing. Grace's kids adored Ethan's. Together they made noise, mess, and magic. One evening, while watching their children build a fort out of blankets, Grace whispered, I think they've already decided we're one big family. Ethan laughed softly, reaching for her hand. Maybe they know something we don't. Months later, at that same diner where it all began, Ethan knelt beside the booth, the same spot he once thought he'd spend the night alone, and pulled a small velvet box from his pocket. Grace gasped, tears brimming. The kids clapped and cheered before she even said yes, and as he looked around the table at her, at their kids, at the second chance life had handed them, Ethan realized something profound: love doesn't always come when you expect it. Sometimes, it walks in late, holding four tiny hands. So if you're watching this right now, remember, no matter how broken your past feels, hope can still find you. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but one day, it will walk right through your door, smiling, saying, "Sorry I'm late." If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because somewhere out there, someone needs to hear that love isn't lost. It's just running a little late. Red Heart.